yeah, basically I was saying that that relationship had ended on my birthday. And at that point, that was the straw that broke this camel's back. So
Mm.
many other things had happened that at that once that happened, it was like, oh, all of the worst things that I could possibly like imagine have happened now that this has also happened. And so that was the first time where everything felt gone. Like everything felt like gone and blank. And so I had a real choice to make. Okay, well, are you going to fight for your life? Are you going to live
Mm.
this and create something new? Or
Okay.
are you going to let this shit kill you? Because I remember telling him, I said, I think you're trying to kill me.
Mm.
I actually think you're trying to kill me with the way you're doing this.
Mm.
And I had to have some real tough inner and private moments around fighting, choosing to fight to live
Mm.
from not just that, but everything under that too. If we were building a sundae, that was the cherry.
Mm.
And it's like, okay, now what? And so that taught me really important lessons about being okay with a blank page, being okay with starting over, being okay, because the beauty of a blank page is you get to put anything on it that you want from there.
Yeah.
I had been working from one very particular piece of art, and it was so much going on. It's a coffee stain in the corner. I done fucked up right here and tried to scribble over it. That don't look right, and this ain't the right shade, and this. But I'm looking at it. I'm like, but man, look what I made. Look what I made with a little bit that I had. I'm gonna see it as beautiful, even if it is a hot fucking mess.
Mm.
And then when that all got ripped away, it was like nothing but white space. I said, what can I put here?
Yeah.
What can I put here now? And that was when life really, really changed for me.
Mm.
And that was a real decision around fighting to live and not just exist, not just survive, not just get by, but to
Yeah.
really live and and create a
Mm.
fullness that is defined by what fullness means to me. And
Mm.
things I should be doing. And so since then, I've been living a life that is fully decided on by me. Ain't no, which has been different.
Mm.
It's been different, and that's been a challenge in itself because I don't have the parental structure to look to. So
Mm.
I'm not able to call mom and dad and say, "Hey, what do you think I should do about this?"
Mhm.
There's no partner anymore, because I had gotten used to that sort of being my system
Yeah,
where
yeah.
mission, but for what do you think?
Right, right.
Just not having a real
Mm.
place to land. What do you think?
Mhm.
You know. Uh, so yeah, I really that was the beginning of me learning to trust myself, beginning to be okay with starting over, and
Mm.
really having a perspective shift around the fight for your life doesn't have to be hard. Actually, it
Mm.
doesn't have to be something that takes all of your energy. It doesn't have to be something that depletes you. In fact, fighting for your life should be a series of choices that make you feel good.
Mm.
And that's how I used it.
I love that. I love that. There's so many there's so many phrases the way that you have been articulating yourself that I've just been seeing as emboldened and I'm just like putting that at this part of my brain. So
Oh, I love
well said.
that makes me happy because this is also my first time being interviewed. And so when you're talking out loud
Yeah.
in real time and you haven't really prepped for it, and with my story in particular, I find it hard, not hard to tell, but there's so many things that I often wonder if it's making sense the way that I'm saying it.
Oh no, it's making deep sense.
Oh,
Absolutely.
good. As long as
200%. No confusion. Yeah, trust how it's flowing because it's flowing where it's supposed to. Absolutely.
thank you. Wonderful.
Absolutely. Yeah, one of the things that you said, I'm looking at my notes. And yeah, that's what I wanted to touch on was the blank page and what helped you? What are the tools that helped you even say yes to creating something new? Because as you were talking, I was thinking about how infinite that potential is when we are handed with a blank canvas and it's like, listen, do what you want. There's so much abundance and creativity in that. And also on the other side of it, like the dual, the yin and the yang aspect is how that can be scary too. Like, whoa, now I'm the one. Like when it really does boil down to you and you get to that reckoning stage, that grappling part where, oh, it is me and me. Like I'm gonna have to we're gonna have to make some decisions. It's like you look in the mirror and you say, we're gonna have to make some decisions here. Because at that point I see it as making choices that will reflect new patterns,
Yeah.
new practices, just like new way of being in the process. And so I want to know what has helped Ari in being able to fill up that blank page. And yeah, if you want to talk about, I'm gonna just leave it at that actually, and
Yeah.
I'll leave the second part of that for later.
Yeah. Well, it actually hearing that it's landing very emotional for me.
Mm,
Has been, it is a very emotional experience
mm,
when you allow the unknown into your world. And I will say this, a lot of, unfortunately, the way that I was living prior to that relationship ending, which was a lot of where his life goes, mine goes. And so, and because of the way that I grew up, I didn't too much think about future me, what it all could look like. Survival mode kind of, it takes that luxury of future thought from you. You're just trying to get to your next hour, to your next day. You know, they're very incremental, smaller milestones you're trying to reach. So when we start talking about what your 3 5 year plan is, baby, I don't have one.
right,
Okay.
right, right,
I'm trying to get to Tuesday. Okay.
right.
So that was me for a really long time. And then when this blank page came, now not only was it an opportunity to fill the page up, but it was an opportunity to think about the future for the first time
Mm,
and to think about what I want my overall life to look like.
mm,
And there were a couple of like practical ways that I got okay with that. You know, I've been in therapy since 2018
mm,
consistently. And I'm also just a student of myself. I'm a student of my experiences. You know, I've told you that everything is a movie to me. So I go back and watch and replay my own movie and figure out what happened and why and all of this stuff. But when it came to the blank page, what gave me the motivation to try to make something from it was just the fact that there was no other option.
mm,
Was no other option for me at that point. I was so low, Nala. I was so freaking low.
mm,
And I will say, this is why I'm also saying the universe and things that are bigger than me. Stuff started coming to me that I didn't seek out.
mm,
That if I chose not to take it, it's because you want to be sad. You want to
mm,
be stuck. I was being given so many, and I mean instantly, right? Like 8 days later, I ended up getting a dream job after that relationship ended that covered the exact amount I needed in rent to be able to stay where I was living, where he was trying to throw me out of.
wow,
8 days later, and it
that's
came from
divine.
a stranger. The opportunity came from a complete stranger. I
Wow.
was looking for another job for like the past 3 years, off and on,
Mm,
with
mm,
lots of real consistency of looking for one. And
mm,
then this opportunity opened up, and it was one that allowed me to use my gifts.
mm.
It allowed me to storytell. It was around Black people, centered around Black people. It was something I was like, what's happening? Right. And so that kind of had this ripple
Mm,
effect where all of these different things were happening to where it's like, well, shit, if you want to stay stuck inside in this version of your life, you can,
mm,
but you're being given and presented something new. And at that point, it's choice. Like it's just choice. And I also let myself mourn. I mourned a lot. I mourned the shedding of
Mm-hmm.
that old self, of that old life. And I'm still grieving.
Mm-hmm.
I still grieve for a lot of different things.
Mm-hmm.
But I wrote this in my journal the other day. Sadness is now an experience for me. It comes and it goes and it flows through as an emotion should. It used to be a state of being.
Mm.
And
Well,
so I process sadness and grief the same way I would any other
what,
kind of. Mhm.
excuse me. Can we pause there? 'Cause that's really profound. That's, yeah, I would like if you could to unpack that piece of the difference,
It's a big, big difference
that
in
distinction.
versus letting it be a state of being for you. If I had to tell somebody how I feel about my life right now, and I'm don't want to cry, but I'm very happy, right? Overall, I'm happy and I'm at peace and I'm safe and I'm all the things I didn't think I could be.
Mm-hmm.
Now, do I be sad as hell sometimes? Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't change the fact that overall I am happy with the way my life is functioning. Before, I was in a constant state of sadness and in a constant state of low expectations for being able to come out of something like that. And so your expectancy for your life has to rise as well.
Mm.
What you expect out of your life, it has to be high, or you're not gonna, you gotta expect good shit or you're not gonna get it. You keep feeling like you don't deserve shit. Who gonna get, like, why would you have anything?
Right,
And
right.
that's where I was. I was shrinking so much into, and when I did get something good, I would say, I'm so glad I don't deserve this, but I'm so glad I got it. I would say that.
Mm.
I would tell my ex, man, I don't deserve you, but I'm so happy you're here.
Mm.
What?
Mm. Right, right.
My what? And let me tell you how my language has changed. In language,
Mm. I love that. Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Because really, when we're talking about the sadness being a feeling versus a state of being, that is a shift of perspective that is shown through the language.
Yes, absolutely.
I'm not going to color myself sad entirely. I'm not going
Mm.
to do that. I'm not even going to put that out there. I'm
Mhm.
sad in this moment. I'm grieving in this moment, and I'm going to honor what that feels like.
Right.
Then I'm going to go on and I'm going to leave this house and I'm going to go love on somebody,
Mm.
go love on myself. I'm
Mhm.
going to go have a good day.
Mm.
And if I have a bad day, I'm not having it twice because
Mm.
that's what I have a rule, no bad days twice.
Mm.
I let myself sit in something, but that next day, I have the best day ever the next day.
Mm.
And the language shift is really, really important. I went from saying I don't deserve this and but I'm happy I got it to I deserve every good and great thing that happens to me.
Mm.
Literally a sentence that I repeat frequently.
Mm.
And what I used to repeat frequently was I don't deserve this.
Right,
And
right.
the difference in the way my life has alchemized and what happens because of what I'm speaking, because of what I'm writing, because of what I believe. Here's
Mm.
the other thing about belief, and I don't want to get on a tangent, but
Oh, go ahead.
belief is not just about the words you're saying. It's something that sits in a core part of you. So you can say whatever you're saying all day, but if when you go to bed at night and you lay your head down, you don't believe in the pit of your stomach what you said earlier in the day, that's
Mm.
not belief. That's words.
Mm.
You've got to feel belief. It's got to be a real place you're sourcing from.
Mhm.
I didn't have that. That started getting cultivated all at the time of change. So it actually felt like a very physical experience. The shift
Mm.
of going from a blank page to creating what I wanted to see.
You
I
felt it
felt
in your
it.
body.
I felt it in my body.
Mhm.
I felt it in my body. When I
Mm.
look at myself from 2022 and before, it doesn't look like me
Mm.
to myself. It may
Mhm. Yeah, you know. Yeah.
But to me, it doesn't even look like me. And not
Wow.
in a way where I am disgusted by her. In fact, I honor everything
Absolutely.
that version of me did
Yeah.
to get to here.
Yeah.
But there's something to be said about the honesty of she didn't have the right mindset.
That
She
radical
didn't have the
honesty.
right language. She didn't have the right tools. She didn't have the right support. She didn't have the right self-confidence.
Mm.
She wasn't aligned.
Mm.
But what she did was she got me just where I needed to go for
Mm.
the next version of me to come and get the baton.
Mm.
And we've done a proper burial and we've laid her to rest. We've thanked her for all she's done and we've kept going. And the physical part is changing. I remember describing it to a friend and I said, a lot of times when change happens, you could be here and then you could be there. And then once you're here, you look back and you're like, damn, look how far I've come. Right.
Right.
But what I was experiencing was the in between process of feeling the breaking,
Mm.
feeling the shed, like feeling it, being very aware that
Yeah.
change is happening as it's
Yeah.
happening.
Yeah.
And so it's wonderful as some things were. I would go in my room and I would cry and I'd be like, what is going on?
Right.
What is happening in my world? Why does nothing look familiar?
Mm.
I feel like myself. Why are people started experiencing me differently?
Mm.
So even the way that people experience me is different than what I'm used to, because how I'm showing up is different. It's
Mm.
evolved and it's a more alchemized version of what the truth is.
Mm.
And ultimately, through my healing journey, what I got okay with, and part of the blank page, the page mirrors what's going on with you too.
Mm. Mm.
Like once your page is blank, you are also blank. And once you're more blank, you can see more clearly the core of who you are.
Mm.
I saw where I needed to go back to.
I love that point.
Yeah.
I
Like I saw
love that point.
very clearly, hey, there ain't shit else in here that's just that's taking up the space from you being able to see what's going on for real. Okay,
Mm.
that person there, that person that sang everywhere she went, that wanted to act, that lived bold, that wasn't scared, that loved hard, that was confident, that thought like that's where we got to go back to.
Yeah. Yeah.
Most of her time in Florida has colored who she is. Go back to your root. Go back
Mm.
to the root. So the blank page will lead you back to the root if you let it.
Mm.
And once I started to see that that's what was going on, I got excited about it.
Mm.
And I started documenting what was happening. So I'm writing myself journal entries, and this is the more practical side of it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
A lot of this can sound abstract, but when you really get into the practical elements of healing, the very first step to me is to document because
Mm.
nothing, I mean, what is true for that moment. So whatever I wrote on September 27th, 2022 was true and exact to me on that date. When I
Right.
come back to it a year later and I'm in a different place, I get to see exactly how I felt. And documentation for me lives in multiple forms. It lives in writing, it lives in video, it lives in voice notes. And
Mm-hmm.
so
Mm-hmm.
and there are moments when I just do a review. I'm like, let me make sure what I think has happened.
Right.
Because too much is different. Let me
Right.
go make sure that I'm experiencing this experience accurately
Mm-hmm.
and myself accurately. So yeah, though that language, the language that you use, having a core belief in yourself, going back to your root and getting excited about the journey is what helped me continue to create and color the page. I
Yeah.
want to see where it could go. Where it could go. I met there's a friend of mine works downstairs at the coffee shop,
Mm-hmm.
having a really hard time, and we were talking, and I was so glad that I had gone through what I had gone through, but not only, but that I had thought about it the way that I did, and I could give her this. I said, "Man,
Mm-hmm.
this shit sucks." Like what she was telling me was terrible, you
Mm-hmm.
know. But I said, "You know what? You're like you're on like page 71. What if you get to page 105?
Mm.
There's something you're on 71 right now. This is what 71 looks like.
Mm.
71 looks like you being at your lowest point. But what did page 33 look like? She said,
Mm-hmm.
I had a lot of fun at 33. Page 33 was awesome. And I said, okay, well, get to 105.
Yeah.
Let yourself keep going. Give life the time to
Mhm.
unfold. Give the story
Yeah.
time to make sense. You
Yes.
know, when you just cut it off at the middle, we don't cut movies off at the middle. We want to see how
Right.
it ends. Nobody goes to a movie, pays for a ticket, sits down, and gets up in the middle. Well, shit, I done had enough of this. No, like that. You want to see how it ends. You want,
Right.
you know. So when I think about my life that way, I started thinking, I'm like, man, okay, let's just see where we go.
Yeah.
And I'm still in that part. I'm still in that part of seeing where it goes. But I'm excited and I'm aware and I'm intentional.
Mm.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So many great things. So many great things that you just shared. Um, I love how you spoke to the spirit of the process as well as the tangible practices.
Yeah.
So I want to like reflect on both and then um go a bit further into it. So I heard for the tangible practices is the journaling, as you said, the documenting, the self-assessment, the self-evaluation, the reframing, the the language,
Therapy as part of the
the
practice.
therapy.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, really tangible things that keep you accountable to what's actually happening and also accountable to your part in stuff that has gone wrong, right?
Yeah.
Like it's also very easy to see a series of things that have happened to you and to feel victimized by everything.
Hmm.
And there are blind spots that I'm still uncovering,
Hmm.
that have come with more understanding of a lot of different things too. So I would add to that. I mean, time and growth provides wisdom, and so there's a lot more wisdom that I have to look back at 31.
Hmm.
I'm looking back at stuff that happened when I was 18, 19, that
Hmm.
my adult brain just processes differently because I'm an adult and because I've gone through what I've gone through.
Right.
So another part of allowing some time and some breathing room means you can come back and look at something with fresh eyes. And so
Mm.
that's useful because that process goes from thinking of the people that have harmed you as monsters or terrible or whatever, and it develops an empathy. You start to
Yeah.
empathy, which is crucial for healing. Is really, really crucial for healing is to develop a sense of deep empathy for yourself and for those that have hurt you.
Mm.
And not empathy in that, but just in terms of understanding that there's so many reasons why things have happened the way that they have.
Yeah.
um,
As you said, a
and
lot
not
of it's going
personalizing too
in.
much of it because yeah, a lot of what I would consider to be bad that has happened to me specifically from my parents, a lot of it ain't really got shit to do with me.
Mm.
And that took me getting older to realize.
Mm.
uh, so I still really condemn and critique what
Mhm.
happened. you know
Yeah.
I stand very firm in that it was harmful for me and it's caused me a lot of harm. But depersonalizing it has been helpful.
Mm.
Yeah, is part. So yeah, all of those things, and then music too.
Mm.
When when that breakup happened, I started listening to music again in a way that I hadn't before.
Mm. What does that mean?
Well, when what I call the dark years, the dark
Mm.
lost years, all of my creative force and energy was zapped out of me. So
Mm.
I wasn't
Yeah.
singing anymore. I wasn't listening to music as consistently as I was. Like I used to wake up with music, go to sleep with music,
Mm.
throughout the day, all of this. And then some of that just has to do with, the way my partnership was functioning. If we talking 8 hours of the day, when I'm listening to music. So
Right.
yeah, just being able to be with myself and by myself, I was able
Yeah.
practices that new self-love practices that felt really good. So when I come home It's a glass of wine going.
Mhm.
I was curating playlists again. Just
Mm.
it was all about finding grounding. What felt grounding is what's been the more tangible stuff for me. What can I actually try to root to
Mm.
at a time where you don't feel rooted?
Mm.
That was what was helpful for me.
Mm. I love
Mhm.
that. Yeah, that grounding.
Yeah,
Yeah. The
yeah,
spirit that you spoke to of this process really puts at the forefront how much courage it takes. How much courage it takes. And I use the word courage because you have to be courageous enough to, as you said, put that former, that past version of yourself to rest. This is
mhm,
something that I was actually journaling about the other day,
mhm,
is, as you said, the in between, the heartbreak that is the actual opener to creating something new, to allowing there to be a rebirth process in the first place, and how some of us, we can get stuck at the heartbreak point, as in like our heart is broken, and so that's the only place that I can see myself in, is the victim state, is the lack of belief, in myself, the fear, the trauma. In the only word that really comes to mind for me in being able to move through that kind of fire, that renewal fire, that purification fire, is courage.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
because it's that uncertainty. You're going forth. I journaled about this, and I said something to the likes of how it can almost feel like you are like saying goodbye to that part of yourself forever. And so, does that goodbye mean that, you're no longer honoring that part of yourself, or that part of yourself no longer is important? Like, if I let go of this part, what does that mean basically?
yeah,
Does that mean that it no longer exists, like it'll be forgotten about? Thoughts around that. And I use the word courageous, and I just love that you shared this because I feel like it's really in alignment with me and what I've been reflecting upon in my own life. And it does take courage. It takes a lot of courage and audacity, and just like a fierceness, really, to say this is what the process is requiring me to do. Like, I'm being called to this occasion, at this point. And so I'm answering it, and I'm gonna have to do what's necessary. So yeah, you're very courageous. Like, you have so much power in you. From what you just shared, I'm like, that those are the two words that came to mind, was power and courage. And to hear how you so intimately came back into relationship with your power again, that, yeah, that is
it's deep.
it. Yeah, it's
Really. First
it's
off,
deep.
you are so, I can tell you're great at your job
Oh, thank you.
because the way you are able to hear information, process it, and deliver something back of use and
Mm.
of reflection, that's a very, it's a skill. So
Well,
I
thank you.
you're really, really incredible at that. And thank you for seeing me as well and for saying that. I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
It's interesting that you even say that because bravery my relationship
Mm.
with bravery has been interesting.
Mm.
I, in part of my reflection and part of my assessing, and I write letters to myself. I forgot to.
Mm.
I also write letters to myself, whether that be past
Mm,
or future, and I start them all dear Ariana. So
I love that.
I've got a notes app full of those. And one of them that I remember, I was trying to look for it. It's just too much shit in there. But um, I was talking about my relationship to bravery. And
Mm,
I was saying that I did not consider myself brave before.
mm,
But when I took inventory of what I had done, I said, oh my God, I am brave.
mm,
And that sentence changed something in me. The day I recognized myself as brave,
mm,
really huge for me
mm,
because I felt powerful in a way that I hadn't felt before.
mm.
Because we are taught about bravery very early from children, from childhood. There's this
Yeah.
narrative of being brave, slaying dragons,
Mm.
all of this kind of thing, and being heroic, heroism. And I had lived a very like sacrificial lamb life in terms of heroism. My
Child.
yeah, my relationship to being a hero was being a sacrifice. And
What the freak? The way that you just worded that, I almost ran out my door. Wow, that's deep. Take
and
your
when
time with that one, because that's
it's deep, it's really deep.
child. I'm like, what in the
I would have got the napkins. Yeah, that was my relationship to bravery. And when I took a real inventory of it,
wow.
I had to tell myself, Ariana, you've been brave in so many more ways than laying your life down. You've been brave and you didn't know it, but that was bravery. And I went and I outlined moments of bravery. And since then, I have not seen myself as anything but powerful. And the other piece of that pie is that sometimes you don't start brave, you become brave. It's not, I woke up and I'm brave.
Hmm.
You have to practice being courageous.
Hmm.
And not only in the name of others, but in the name of yourself.
So, absolutely.
I had been brave for, for other people.
Hmm.
Once I recognized it as a trait of mine, I could apply it to myself.
You took it.
And I took it back. I took
Yeah.
that back.
Hmm.
So now I'm not someone who's scared to, and I never have been, but now
Right.
I understand that I'm not a person that's scared of risk. I'm not a person that is scared to be front facing. I'm not a person like that's just not me. I'm
Right.
not scared to stick up for what is wrong either. I am a truth teller. And if I see something wrong, I'm saying it. I'm not the sit around and do nothing person. I'm the speak up, I'm the loud one, I'm the one that is gonna say, hey, no, no. And I did that in the face of people I was scared of most.
Mm.
And if I could do it there, when I realized if I could be as brave as I was under the conditions I was under,
Mm.
how brave could I be when there was no one preventing me from being brave?
Mm. Mm.
Could I be when bravery was only in my control? How brave are you when there's no monster?
Mm.
How brave are you when your relationship to bravery is not only in terms of danger? And that's where I'm at. And that's what I've been finding out. And this part of life is about that. It's about regaining control of my sovereignty, of my power, being brave and tenacious after a life that I
Mm.
want to have, and in a way that I want to, a very specific way I want to live it,
Mm.
which is new, which is new and it's beautiful. And I'm very proud to be brave. I'm very proud to view myself as brave. And I'm very proud to even be seen and recognized as that. So that
Mm.
you just did something for me. And I thank you for that.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you for everything that you are. Literally. That, yeah. Um, yeah. That was, I'm speechless.
Yeah.
Um,
Whew.
one of the things that you said about where you are now, that's something that I did want to circle back around to from the very beginning when I asked you, what is it like to be you? What is it like to be Ari? When you were first introducing yourself and you said, well, like right now, currently, or excuse me, in totality. And so I, yeah, I was going to bring it back and ask you, what is it like to be you, right now? And, and I want to preface that with, hold on, I'm going to mute myself real quick because my throat. Okay. I didn't want to have people hear me cough 1,000 times. Okay, so I wanted to preface that by talking about how I view life and what it means to be like a human with this vehicle that travels and throughout the lifetime in the timeline, and how so much of what we've been talking about is centered on, healing and wellness. And for those matters, I see it to be us on a spectrum of them. Like I see that we're constantly on a spectrum of wellness, we're constantly on a spectrum of healing,
Yeah.
if you will. And so the spectrum is something that we oscillate back and forth between. And so on the spectrum, there are different levels, there are different stages, different periods or seasons. I really like that word, seasons of what our wellness can reflect about our current state of life, where we're at, that chapter, that location. If you get really detailed and as you have been approaching it in like a life story and a narrative, it becomes very specific in the way that it's reflected on the spectrum and how we show up well in our lives, how we show up in connection in our lives. And so that perspective has really freed me from concepts of like perfection. It's freed me from concepts of black or white, like very
Yeah.
uh dual thinking, it's freed me from a lot of that. And so when I ask you, where are you, or how is it to be you right now? I'm wondering, if you can speak to that in your own way of where you on the spectrum of wellness, on your journey, your healing, your being in this life as a human.
I love that. I love that framing. I love the question. I think if I'm saying, what does it feel like to be me right now? The most honest to God answer is magical.
Mm.
And I say that because through my customized spiritual practice, there's a lot of stuff that happens in my world every single day where it's like, okay, this is something that is like not living in the 3D type of space. Um, it's a very where I am on the spectrum of the healing experience of the healing journey is I'm at the part where um, I'm at the part of alchemy
Mm.
of the journey. I'm alchemizing a lot of what I've gone through. It has been a lot has been alchemized, and it feels like my responsibility at this point of my journey is to give out pieces of the gold
Mm.
that I am living in. And because of that, I end up having these really, really interesting experiences. But it's because I'm what I'm finding, and your question makes me think of this. You know, if my life theme is the golden era, everything I touch turns to gold.
Yeah.
If I am the broken pottery that has gotten fused back together with gold, that means that I have gold to give.
Mm.
Because the gold that is in me, I don't think that it is something that is going to, uh, deplete.
Yeah.
It's something that is here to stay. And I've gotten very clear about that it is a new way of being.
Mm.
And how I get more is by how little, throwing out some little tidbits. And I'll give an example of that
Yeah.
because it's kind of abstract. So, for example, I went to a beautiful dinner the other night, beautiful,
Mhm.
beautiful dinner. One of the theme songs for my recovery from the breakup was Aretha Franklin, A Rose is Still a Rose.
Mm.
And
I don't know
it,
if I know that one. I gotta add that real quick.
yeah, no, play that or listen to that. In it, she says, A rose is still a rose. Baby girl, you're still a flower. He,
Mm.
he can't leave you and take you, um, make you or break you. Darling, you hold the power.
Mm.
And I hadn't heard that. Aretha's been my fave for a long time, but I hadn't heard that particular song until after the breakup. It came to me when I needed it.
Absolutely. The
And so
medicine will appear.
there were many days where I would cry to A Rose is Still a Rose,
Mm.
and I would be weeping. And so that was the beginning part of my healing journey. Well, last week I went to, and it's so much so to where I want it to be my first tattoo. I want the stem to be
Oh.
still into a rose. That's
Mm. Wow.
and I got to get that before the year ends. But I went to a beautiful restaurant the other night, and I got to the front host stand,
Yeah.
and there were over a dozen roses on her host stand, and they were in these individual little things, right?
Mm.
And so I was like, man, look how far I've come. Like, and I was like, are you guys giving these out? And she was like, I don't think they really were, but she was like, you want one? And I was like, yeah.
Right.
And then and we had been talking, and it was a very good energetic exchange. And she goes, let me pick one for you. I want to pick the strongest, most powerful rose for you. And she picks what she thinks is the most beautiful rose. It was a stunning, stunning rose. In fact, hold on, I'm going to
You
pull
have a
it up.
photo?
I do. One second, because
Wow.
it looked like that.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's, yeah,
a
that
super
baby is in
full bloom,
full bloom.
full bloom.
Beautiful.
I sit down with the rose there, and it's a bar, beautiful bar with one bartender back there.
Mm.
Okay. And I've never been to this place before, Nala. And I sit there and I'm looking at the bartender and I'm like, I know him. I was like,
Mm.
why do I? And anyway, I'm video recording the rose and it hits me when I look at him. My ex used to coach football.
Mm.
And one of the kids that he coached used to work at another restaurant in Atlanta, and we would go to that restaurant and see him, and he would, you know, treat us and all give us all kind of free stuff, and it was a wonderful time, right? And he would hug me and love you, see you next time, that whole kind of thing. Well, it's probably been maybe 2 or so years since I've seen him. I've grown locks in that time, etc. It was him
Mm.
that I used to see all the time at our favorite restaurant that we would hug, talk to, and he knew me and I knew him. But going back to what I said, I don't look the same. I'm
Mm.
not the same person. So
Wow.
I barely recognized him and he never even recognized me. And I'm in
Wow.
front of him the whole time with the rose in between us, right? Like the rose was a separating, and it was a real moment of, man, look how far I've come, right?
Yeah.
And I thought about going up there to introduce myself. Do you remember me? I'm so and so's ex. Da, da, da. And I said, no, 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 no. That's not who you are. Actually, you
Mm.
do not actually have to speak to him. You can recognize him as someone that used to be part of your old world. You got this
Mm.
beautiful flower in front of you. You're in full bloom. You don't even need to do that,
Yeah.
right? So I didn't. Cool, right? Rock on, rock on. I go downstairs. It's a black staff, security staff. It's an older woman, maybe 40s in her 50s. It's a young dude, and it's an African brother next to
Yeah.
her. And I had put my purse where the 40-plus-year-old woman was going to sit. So she kind of had an attitude about it, and she asked me to move it. I said, okay, I'm so sorry.
Mm.
But I asked her, could she hold my rose while I grabbed my stuff? And when she held the rose, it was almost like it took on an energetic power with her.
Mm.
And she grabbed it. She said, you got this from upstairs? I said, yeah. She said, I heard they be giving out roses to people. I heard they do that up there. Yeah, I heard that. And I said, okay, yeah, yeah, yeah. So we started talking. And I was telling them how grateful and happy I am to be living a life where I just went to a fancy dinner because I wanted to.
Yeah.
My server asked me, was I celebrating anything special? I said, no, but honestly, I'm going to celebrate the fact that I could just be here because I want to. So, yeah,
Hello.
right?
Celebrating life. Exactly.
So I'm telling them this down there, and the 40-plus-year-old woman lady looks at me and she goes, I hope I can say something like that one day. I hope I can feel that happy one day.
Mm.
And we got into a discussion that kind of flowed a little further, but I started telling them that I felt like her at one point, where I
Mm.
can't wait until I can just feel happy.
Mm.
And I told her, I said, what happens is people that get in a position like me, where you work somewhere nice and you getting off work and you just gonna go treat yourself to multiple cocktails and entrees and apps. You know what I'm saying? People that get where I can do something like that, they come down here and they ignore people like y'all.
Mm.
And they say, yeah, they do. I said, people walk right past you like you don't exist. I said,
Mm.
I could never look at my own and treat them like I don't see them.
Right.
And we had this whole moment, and it was a really beautiful exchange. And then when it was time for me to go, I realized she hadn't let go of the rose. She never gave it back to me. And I looked at her and uh, I said, do you want to keep it? Because I was about to leave. I said, you want to keep the rose? She was like, no, I can't. And the young boy looked at her and he said, keep it. And you could tell that I don't even think that lady's probably been given a flower for.
Mm.
And when I gave it to her, I realized that like a rose is still a rose. I've gotten the lesson that I need from that.
Yeah.
I can give it away happily. It's
Mm.
done its job for me. It's gotten me confident. It's gotten me sure of my power. It's gotten me in motion. Let me give this beautiful thing to this Black woman.
Mm.
So she was so happy. She gave me the biggest hug. I don't think anyone had ever given her something for real. It,
Wow.
from a stranger that was supposed
Yeah,
to be
yeah.
talking about, which is just loving on people for the sake of loving on people
Lovely.
and giving. But even if it doesn't, community is not just about who you keep close all the time. It's about seeing everybody, every brother and sister you go out with is in community with.
Absolutely.
And so that's how I live. And so when
Yeah.
I came her, she gave me such a big hug, and I left and I played A Rose Is Still a Rose on the way home. And I said a
Mm.
prayer for her. And so that's what I'm saying when I'm saying like things just are very
Yeah.
magical and very
Yeah.
like, and that's just kind of what it feels like to be me, where it's currently it's unpredictable, but it is magical and it is extremely fulfilling
Mm.
because I'm invested not only in my own human story, but I am intentional about intersecting with others in there,
Mm.
which is how we've gotten here.
Right. Literally.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah.
And because of your fascination with the human story, it's how you already had something in place for me to be able to come and share.
Yeah.
It's doing the work of alignment. It's doing,
Mm.
and so all the little things lead up to this. And so even doing this is part of the magic for me.
Mm-hmm.
I've been saying for so long, I don't know what kind of way I would tell, how I would begin to tell my story. This is a beautiful beginning in a beautiful way.
Mm.
First time that I've ever been um, formally asked about it in a way that
Yeah.
I could kind of speak to like this.
Mm.
Magic, right? Magic. I'm just in the coffee shop hosting something. I ain't never did that before. Here you come.
Right.
You gotta you see what I'm saying? And
I
that's
didn't
just
even mention that, y'all. I didn't even know. I was truly surprised that that was your first time. I
Had
was
never
like, no, it wasn't, child.
I've never done it, but always something that I knew I could do. And then look
Yeah,
from that. So right now,
exactly.
it feels like to be me are these little moments that mean big things that
Mm,
lead to other big things and magical things. And all I'm doing all day is collecting it all,
mm,
collecting and absorbing it all so that I can retract it back out.
yeah.
And hopefully, when this is all said and done, I get what I've given.
Mm,
And I'm not given to get, but that is just how it works.
right.
Yeah.
200%.
And I expect good things because I'm intentional about good things, whether
Yeah.
it's for myself or for anyone else. So it feels like a lot of love too.
Mm.
I feel really, really loved by people and things that I don't even know. You know, before I left there from the restaurant, I hugged all three of the security guards, like a big hug, you know. And I want to live life like that. I love living life like that.
Mm,
Yeah.
mm. That's
And a
beautiful.
lot of that comes from gratitude too.
Yeah.
So
Gratitude is huge.
it's huge. I flow from such a space of gratitude because I'm constantly in awe that I'm even doing what I'm doing and am where I am and feel how I feel. So I'm just floating around like, oh man, I'm so grateful to be here. Not
Right.
different from I don't deserve to be here, but I'm happy I am. That's different
Right. That
than
is different.
grateful to be here.
Right.
Start every morning with intense gratitude.
Right. That second version of gratitude is I'm fully present. Like I'm not fearing that something will take me from this moment or
Right,
that I'm taking myself from this moment because I'm not allowing myself to be fully connected to it because
right,
I don't think that I'm deserving of it, but you
right.
know that you deserve it. You know that you're intentional about the good things. I love how you worded that intentional about the good things. So you expect good things. That language alone just says a lot about the power in how we choose to show up. And um yeah, just recognizing truth. Because I think sometimes for people like the word like worth and deserving, it can be nuanced around like, well, what does it mean, that I deserve it? What does it mean that I'm worthy of it? And it's like when you introduce language like
Yeah.
intentional about the way that you show up, we're speaking about your life force. We're speaking about what you're giving energy to.
Absolutely.
And the things that you give energy to, it's not just leaving you, it's coming back to you. So yeah,
That is it. That is it. My energy goes to light sources.
yeah,
Don't
yeah.
spend time with anything that doesn't feel good. And I think after living a long time where she just didn't feel good,
Hmm.
you know what I'm saying? When you're used to like, I mean, I did my, the way the body feels when it is in fight or flight mode,
Listen.
activated constantly,
Hmm.
you're sick. You don't want to do anything. You are weighed down by heaviness, by darkness, by negativity. I, I'm so great because, and when you go from contrast, when you go from that and you go to something extremely light,
Hmm.
you feel the difference.
Hmm.
There is no, like, I can't plug into anything dark again.
Hmm.
No, I'm not even going to allow that. Not after experiencing the light,
Hmm.
not after seeing how light it can be.
Hmm.
And I mean light in feeling, light in the body, light in your verbiage. Once everything, and that doesn't mean it's perfect.
Right, right.
Not that it's not about that, but it is about having a light field center to come back to.
Yeah.
And you get that through doing the purification process of the dark.
Hmm. Hmm.
And
Hmm.
that's the healing. The healing is the purging, the purification, the extraction, the excavation, the going deep down and getting back to the root. And then from that, the light. comes again, and
Mm-hmm.
you can access it. And so I'm intentional about that. I'm aware of it within myself. I'm intentional about the fact that it is something that can be given out without depleting myself.
Right.
I'm not trying to hoard goodness. I want the people around me to feel good too.
Mm.
And more importantly, and more specifically, and only Black people.
Mm.
When I that 40 plus year old lady down, she was so, her energy was so low when I came down. She was pissed off. My purse was in her spot. She was irritated.
Yeah, I forgot about that part. Yeah.
Yeah, she was in a good space, you
Yeah.
know. By
Yeah.
the time of this, she was bear hugging me,
Right.
and she had a rose in her hand.
Mm.
And no, 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 no. I want to live a life where I leave everywhere a little bit better than I found it.
Mm.
Not in a selfishly motivated reason, not because I want to get to the end and have everybody get up at the funeral and say what a good person I was, because it makes a difference.
Yeah.
When I think about the people that I ran into that made a difference for me, there's a man that made a difference for me almost 11 years ago that I've never seen again. And I talk about him every time I can because what he did was that.
Mm.
And if I can do that for one other Black person, when I get to the end, I will feel accomplished.
Mm.
If any way that I have lived my life, led an interaction, or done something brings a Black person closer to love and closer to themselves,
Mm.
I've done good work. I've done work that I'm proud of. And that includes children, that includes people, whatever orientation.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, all Black people, whoever I can touch in the time that I'm here. And
Mm.
be very clear about that, because a lot of the issues that I have faced are very Black specific centric problems that come from
Absolutely.
a community that has been ravaged
Mm-hmm.
in every way you can ravage a people.
Mm-hmm.
And so if we don't take up the cross of giving back to each other what was stolen,
Mm.
no one else is going to give it to us. No one else is going to give it to us. I give out love to Black people. I, I give out love to Black people because they deserve it. And I'm aware that if it doesn't come from me and it doesn't come from us, and I don't teach somebody else how to do it for somebody else, we're not going to get it.
Mm.
A lot of people want to make macro change. My thing right now is my micro interactions.
Mm. Which is so, I don't know if this is the right word, but it reverberates. Is
Yeah.
that I'm seeing a visual, like, when you when you throw that rock in the pond and it
Yes,
ricochets out. Yes.
exactly.
Yeah. That is the magic. That is the magical touch of community. As you said, those interactions, those grocery store, encounters, the restaurant, the things that we do in our homes, in our context of what like family and friendship is, like that. I see that as the bottom up power. Like I find so much um resource of for change and positive transformation and evolution in the bottom up approach of almost everything, you
Yeah,
know, because if it's not rooted below, then up high, it's not going to be sustainable,
it's
you
not. You
know?
have to start from the bottom up. And with us as a people, with our history, we got to start bottom up with so much.
Yeah,
We gotta get to the root first and work our way up to everything else. And everybody has their different approach and their different priorities or whatever.
absolutely, absolutely.
But for me, it is that bottom up approach. It is that ripple effect. It is the giving out the nuggets of gold after finding out that it lives inside of me. It is
Mm.
it that's my responsibility at this point, particularly because a lot of what I went through is not unique.
Mm.
We're talking about a systemic issue. We're talking about reverberations and impacts of the crack epidemic that took our fathers, our mothers.
Yeah,
We're talking about substance abuse, which is coming from depression, which is coming from X, which is coming from slavery. You know what I'm saying? It is
right.
ripple effect anyway.
Right.
Gotta create
Exactly.
new ripple. It's a ripple effect anyway. Shit.
Anyway,
May as well create like a good one,
a intentional one.
an
Yeah.
intentional one. Yeah, because
Yeah.
we are living, you know, and this is an aside, but I love my father, but the
Mm.
reason we do not have a relationship is Ronald Reagan.
Mm.
The reason I don't have a dad is Ronald Reagan in the
Mm.
CIA. And once we get comfortable with the history, and once we don't want to run from it, and once we can face our front about what has happened to us, we can be honest and we can lead with love.
Hmm.
And so once there's, yeah, it's all a ripple effect. And we just have to be gracious and kind and loving to each other. And that's my goal.
Mm. I love that. Yes. And exhale to that. Yeah.
Yeah. We lost a lot of, uh, you know, yeah, that's a whole deeper historical piece, but we've lost a lot of good hearted Black folks to really impossible circumstances.
Mm.
Yeah. And and I think collectively, I think we've done the best we can with the cards we've been given, which no other group of people has been given a set of cards, specifically that Black Americans have been given,
Absolutely.
and Black people, obviously
Absolutely.
across the diaspora. But yeah, so there's just a deeper responsibility that is tied to our history as
Mm.
well, on top of just what my desires are to be a good individual in the world. It's directly linked to my understanding of our history
Mm-hmm.
and what I think is part of the antidote. Love is revolutionary.
Mm.
Love is a revolutionary act, and loving people in terms of community, loving yourself, any way that Black people love is revolutionary, because
Mm.
everything that they have tried to do has tried to get us to not love each other and not love ourselves,
Absolutely.
because the power is in the love. The power is in the love, which is why they started with the Black family first.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's a deep piece, but
It is deep. It
yeah,
is.
it's a deep piece. But I'm very happy with where I'm at now in terms of understanding myself,
Mm.
understanding the journey, being very, and I'm also very aware there's a lot to unpack. I'm unpacking a lot of shit
Yeah.
mentally, like I'm constantly sorting through stuff, but also that's the beautiful part too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It is. One of the questions I want to ask you to close this out
Mhm.
um is we talked a lot about, what it means to fight for our life, not just from the point of survival, but of living, of truly experiencing,
Yeah.
um, being in connection and embodiment with our senses as sentient beings. That's one of the ways that I think of what living truly is when it's a embodied experience. And so I want to ask you, as this being the human experience, this plane that we're on, this human plane, this earthly plane, what would you say is one of your favorite parts about being alive, being, you know, here as a human being?
To be honest, I think one of my favorite parts of being a human being is actually being able to explore the depth of different emotion.
Mm,
I've been really fascinated, even through heartbreak,
mm,
seeing where grief can take you, seeing where sadness can take you, seeing where indescribable joy takes
mm.
you, seeing where love takes you. Um, that those things have been really beautiful, and those are all colored by the experiences. Um, connection too.
Mm,
Connection is really fascinating to me, the way that humans in particular connect. And it's my favorite thing about experiencing a day. You
mm,
know, what connection can be made and what emotions will be sourced from it. And I think that it's my favorite because of the way that, I write. I want to be a director. I want to do all kind of things. And so it's really just information gathering. I
yeah.
feel like every day I'm just on a quest
Mm,
to gather as much information about Black humanity as possible.
hmm.
And it's fun to me. It's fun to me. And what makes me feel alive is the fact that I operate by a code of joy, and I work every day to curate it.
Mm,
The fact that I can go and I can make joy. And I'm in a unique position because I'm not in a relationship. I don't have children. So every decision that I make is for me and me alone.
mm,
And so my joy is up to me.
mm,
And the fact that I have the autonomy and the desire. Once you match the ability to do so with the desire to do so and the will to,
mm.
you can do it.
Right.
Every day I get up and I go do it, and I go have a joy filled experience out in the world, because there is joy actually everywhere.
Mm,
My favorite part of being myself is hearing myself laugh.
mm.
Like like something being funny, Nala. Like, I'm telling you, like, if I could be a laugh, I would want to be a laugh, because laughing makes life worth living.
That is a good one.
Yeah.
I adore that. Yes.
Laughing makes life worth living for me. And so if I
Yeah.
laugh, I couldn't live.
Mm,
Yeah. So
yeah.
I think a code and standard of joy, seeking that out, laughing, human connection, those are all the things that make being a human very worthwhile to me.
Mm,
Very, very worthwhile. And it's also such a fragile, precious thing, life.
yes.
And
Yes.
once you really understand that, it changes how you engage with it,
Yes.
because every moment is precious. I treat everything precious. I really, really do.
Yes.
I really, really do. And that's my favorite thing too, because I think when people experience me, they recognize, oh, she's holding this really preciously.
Mm,
She's taking this small moment somewhere else, right?
right.
People conscious about the fact that, like, everything is a miracle. Everything,
Yes. Yeah.
everything is orchestration. When you go into a place and you're there with 20 other people, 20 people woke up today and said, hey, I'm gonna go here at this time.
Right.
And you've all met there. But then everybody's in their own bubbles. And so when you get to break that bubble, you get to break those seals of
That's the
individuality.
magic.
There's magic there. That's
Yes.
where the magic is. And because I live like that, I experience magic every day,
Mm, that
because I'm
intentionality.
that connection.
Yeah. Yeah.
I experience magic every day. Yeah.
Right. You create it. You go out and you create it.
I
Yeah.
create it. I embody it and I create it, and I bring people into it.
Yeah.
And I'm happy about that. I love that. And
Mm,
it wasn't always like that, but it is now.
it is.
Yeah. And it goes back to I'm grateful.
Yes. And so it is.
And
Yes.
it is.
Yeah.
I say that all the time.
So
I love that you said
beautiful. Yes.
that. Yeah.
So beautiful. Yeah, I feel I'm trying to describe it. I feel like warm tea, like the nourishing kind. Like that's what it feels like right now. Just marination or like a really good broth. Maybe I'll say that, like a vegetable broth. I'm trying to really,
Love that. Love
yeah, I'm really trying to touch the feeling of it, the experience. So I
I love
thank you so much.
Nala, thank you so much for even. I'm
Absolutely.
really, yeah, I gotta sit with this the rest of the day, but I'm really, really honored to be here,
Yes.
to be part of what your vision is and to be able to share myself in this way with someone who is, you're such a good caretaker of
Oh,
other stories.
oh, thank you.
Really great
That's
care.
a big deal.
Yeah, no, this is great. You need to be doing this professionally.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was wonderful. I'm I'm honored and I'm full in the same way that you are, and I'm gonna try to find some more words for it later in the day when I can make because this it's got to all sort of settle.
Right?
That's
Like, listen, I feel very privileged. I always tell one of the things I always tell my clients at work that to the point of what you said about caretaker of stories, which is like, what the heck? Like, I love the, I love how you worded that. What the heck? I gotta write that down. Um, but I always say that it is a privilege for me to be in the position to know you in the way that you allow me to, because there are humans on the street that may never get the access granted to see you and to know you, which then means to understand you and then actually love and appreciate you, you know, have that kind of exchange with you in the way that like I can. So I see it as like a privilege. It's a privilege to experience and receive the gift of intimacy from another human, allowing them to show themselves, allowing them to be seen. And so that is something that you gifted me with today. You gifted, the other humans that are going to view this today, that you gift the Black community so intentionally and purposefully, and that you gift yourself, like you shared so much. Um, you just, the way that you shared, it's a beautiful reflection of what I could see is a relationship with yourself, like what it means to be in relationship with Ari. And I just want to affirm that it continues to be deeply intimate and intentional and fulfilling in the way that you experience yourself and that you hold yourself and that you care for yourself throughout this lifetime, because you are a gem. And as long as you are with yourself, I have the faith and belief that you'll be well taken care of, and so anyone else that gets allowed to be in your life, I know, you know, will have to. It's an expectation for them to be able to, treat you just as well, as I know that you will be well taken care of with yourself. So, yes, thank you so much.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you. I have
Absolutely.
all I can get out is thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Honor you and your journey and what you're doing here. And I'm so grateful to be a part of it. And I can't wait to see where it continues to go. It's an incredible project, like I told you before.
Thank
And
you.
so, thank you for saying yes to what you're supposed to do.
Thank you.
You make way for people like me to also say yes to. This is
Yes.
a to be able to tell my story somewhere.
Yeah.
And it only exists in this medium because of your yes.
Mm. I received
So,
that.
whew, wow. All right. Well,
What a way to wrap it up. Well, would you like to share like an Instagram handle or anything like that? Would you like to put anything like that
yeah,
out there?
yeah, because yeah. So my IG is underscore. I have to check. underscore life with underscore Ariana.
Mhm.
So life with Ariana. And I don't have it now, but if you do follow me, I'm writing a poetry and prose book that I want to have finished by my birthday. So, and I also tell really great stories on my
Oh,
Instagram. Anyway, people seem to like it. It's a small community, but it's a community.
yes. You
Come,
are an amazing storyteller, first of all. I have
oh,
to say that. Absolutely. When you were telling your stories, I'm already a visual thinker, but the way that you told them, it was cinematic. It really was a movie. Yeah.
I received that. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
It's
you're welcome.
yeah. So yeah, if anybody wants to come over there and join me over there's a lot going on, a lot of stories, a lot of actions. Once I get more material stuff down, then I'll be able to have things that are for purchase and keeping.
Yeah. Wow. I'm so excited. I did not know about the poetry book, y'all. I'm so excited. Yeah.
About it.
Well,
Yeah.
well, that is it then. We'll wrap it up here. Thank you so much, and I'll talk to you soon after this because of book club. So, all right.
Okay.
See y'all later. Peace.